when like I've got the list open of all of the ISOs, and just having
Yeah.
this in front of you, just this by itself indicates just how much work goes into getting something like this actually functioning. And I don't know. I hope that goes at least some way to making people appreciate that kind of work. Um, but I did definitely want you to expand upon the KDE and GNOME stuff because I my understanding is so KDE with their library stuff, they used to have it as one like big ball of libraries. So it was like a 500
Yeah.
megabyte library package, and they split that out into individual packages so that you wouldn't be installing every single KDE library just to install one application. But now that means there's I don't know how many different library packages, 200 different, I don't know, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can expand more upon like what dealing with that is like, and then just the general issues with getting these big desktops actually like working.
Yeah, I think it wasn't that large. I said this while I was doing that, and I remember it probably was more like 30 megabyte, like
Sure,
KDE Ellipse or
okay.
so, like 20 years ago, like KDE 3. I hope it was only 30 or 50 or whatnot. Hopefully not 300. But my memory might be wrong, but it
That was
probably
a
wasn't that
KDE dev
huge.
gave me that number, so I don't know, but they might have been
Yeah,
exaggerating as
okay.
well.
But so I the problem is for me it doesn't even have much of a benefit. So I understand like fine-grained dependencies and stuff, these are great. But the problem is they are hard requirements anyway, right? So I only packaged all of this, like, hey, opening hours. It's probably some like parsing email in or like map, like business listings or so, I guess. There's so many dependencies, I don't even know what they're doing, right? It's only from the name. And there's even indoor maps, right? So I only packaged all of this because like I couldn't otherwise compile Kmail. All I wanted was have Kmail, the mail client building. And I don't think they're optional, right? So like if they are not optional, like I would rather have like some PIM, like personal information management, like KDE PIM or whatnot, like some 30 megabyte thing instead of like 20 different. There's also like parsing this, like parsing MIME, and so I mean so KDE we have probably 400 KDE. I mean I could check. It's probably 400.
The logic with the individual packages isn't necessarily if you're using KDE, it's if you install a KDE package outside of KDE. So if you wanted to install something like Dolphin and you're not on KDE, you don't have to download every single library, or Kden Live, or Critter, or something along those lines.
Yeah. I'm not so sure. So we even in T2 we have currently 445 KDE packages.
Jesus.
That includes all of Dolphin and stuff.
Right.
So it's like probably 200 digital libraries or whatnot. But I mean, so I had to package all of them because they were hard dependencies. I don't know if you could somehow disable this, maybe. But to me, it looked like you need them anyway. At least most of them. So I don't know. I mean, also, I mean, there were really, really many, right? Like it's like Plasma. There's even like activity and activity stats, and I needed them, right? It's not like I packaged them for fun. I needed them because I couldn't build stuff. Like I couldn't even build KWin, the window manager, or some desktop stuff without all of them, right? Like without activity stats and stuff. And this feels really, I mean, it's really excessively little, small stuff. And for all the 2000 distributions, there needs to be some maintainer who goes through all of them, package them, make them build, and manage the dependencies. And like 20 years ago, I was actually a KDE user. And so there, like 20 years ago, there were like 20 source tarballs, like KDE Base, KDE Ellipse, KDE PIM, and KDE Games, KDE Education, and then some, like probably 10 major source tarballs and like 10 languages, like KDE, I18N, DE, US and stuff. I mean, 20 tarballs, like half a language, that was okay. Like now we have 400 or whatnot. With KDE, I mentioned this also in my stream. I'm not the most amused by the packaging because they have like 3 different version numbers. So they have some stuff some stuff is 6.0, some stuff is 6.1 or now 6.2 since this week, and some stuff is 5 or 4. Like they have 3 different versioning schemes. Like this framework are 4 and the Plasma is 6 or whatnot. Right. And they also have like 3 major locations for download. So they like even for me, it's like 3 times more work because each time I need to look, is it there? Is it there? Is it there? Like, and this is, I mean, not only did it take me like 3 times extra time, you always, then you miss something because there are 3 places, and then you miss some update, and it's very suboptimal in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, maybe it works amazing for them as a developer, but as a distribution maintainer, it's very verbose.
Well, they're not going to change that, but there is one thing they're working on that should make things slightly easier. Probably not for you, but for distros like Ubuntu. So GNOME has their release cycle like basically lining up with the Ubuntu release cycle, where every 6 months they have a new release. KDE is working on getting their libraries releasing that same sort of format, so they do these big releases every 6 months, and that should make it slightly easier for them to package, but it's not going to deal with the fact that you have 400 different packages you have to sort out, and make sure you don't forget any of them, make sure they all get updated and all compile correctly.
Yeah, I mean, now it's packaged, right? I mean, now they can just like, maybe just don't change it now because now we packaged all of it. Please don't touch it. Now it works. But as a developer, I mean, even as a, I mean, also software developer, professional software developer, right? Like even as a, like it's really many small libraries, right? It feels a little bit like this. I don't know if you've seen the Rust cargo micro dependency hell.
Yeah, it's the same thing that the web has, where you have these little libraries where it's like 10-line long libraries. Like that doesn't need to be its own library.
Yeah, I mean, K opening hours probably can't do so much stuff, right? Or K indoor maps, right? Like it's, and also, I forgot to point this out in my live streams. I would also, as a software developer, I would say this is not, in my opinion, not the best way implemented, because I would say that the stuff should be more optional. Like if you build Kmail, it shouldn't require this on building. It should have some flexible plugin infrastructure that, in my opinion, all those opening hours and stuff should be more like add-on plugins, so that you build Kmail without all this stuff, like basically the core, and the other stuff should be plugins, like having it external libraries, but being maybe hard dependency. I have to say maybe, because now we have 24 build systems. Like it's also my fighting windmills here. A decade ago we had 10 build systems and they all sucked, and everyone invented another build system, and now we have 24 build systems that suck even more, right? Because nowadays I have to say maybe hard dependency, because 20 years ago when I was young, you did configure, and usually, yes, auto-conf sucked, I know, I'm with you, but now we have CMake and Meson and Ninja and stuff. But like now, in my opinion, it's super stupid that usually the CMake stuff, like the superior CMake stuff, I don't know if it's hard dependency, because I, as a packager, I run this stuff, it tells me like, hey, opening hours isn't there, right? And then I would need to do extra work to look up, is it really, like, could I disable that? I didn't check. I mean, the stuff told me it's not there, so I packaged it. It is possible that maybe you could disable that, which 20 years ago, it was always like, it only built what was there, what was optional. Nowadays, most packages I've seen, they hard code this, and most things are on. And in CMake, for example, and you would need to manually disable that, which I find stupid. Like I would, like, if I configure, I would, like, the stuff I have use. It was how it was 20 years ago, and nowadays it's like some arbitrary choice of some developer, and most stuff is on. So maybe it could be disabled, but I would still find a core Kmail and optionally dynamically loaded plugin stuff for advanced indoor maps and other goodies and opening hours preferable. But That's how it is, yeah.